I'm 45, which means that I was a teenager in the late 1980s. The late 80s. Madonna, Tears for Fears, Michael Jackson, when he was still a black man. Good times. And there's a movie from the late 80s that has a deep impact on my generation. Which one do you think? And this is the interactive part of the sermon, okay? If you have to guess which one. Oh, who said it? Yes. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Back to the Future. Exactly. Exactly. I don't know if you remember, but in the second installment of this trilogy, Marty McFly, the character played by Michael J. Fox, goes 30 years into the future, into the year 2015. Yes, we're living in the future, my friend. And this morning, I would like to show you a clip from this movie called Back to the Future. and I just want to remind you that this movie was released in 1987. So let's watch this clip.
The future.
Welcome to Texaco. You can trust your car to the system with the star. Checking oil. Checking landing gear.
Shark still looks fake.
Hi, friends. Goldie Wilson III for Wilson Hover Conversion Systems. You know, when my grandpa was mayor of Hill Valley, he had to worry about traffic problems. But now, you don't have to worry about traffic. I'll hover convert your old road car into a Skyway Flyer for only $39,999.95. Come on down and see me, Goldie Wilson III, at any one of our 29 convenient locations. Remember, keep them flying.
This was very interesting, especially how the movie anticipates fairly accurately certain aspects of our current society, like the cap, we're not sure which color it is, like that blue or black or white or gold dress of a few weeks ago, the emergence of 3D movies and holograms, or total lack of imagination that leads to constantly make sequels of movies. There it was, Jaws 19. The antique shop was also very amusing with this old Macintosh computer and this huge big box TV that we barely have anymore. Still, one question remains. Where the heck are those flying cars? We're still waiting for them. I'm going in Toronto in a few days, and surely I want one of those cars. I don't want to be stuck in traffic. We live in an ever-changing society. Each year brings something new, except maybe for the Maple Leafs. Each season ain't the same for them. But that's something else. Each year brings us new technology that has a deep impact on our lives. For example, this is an iPhone 5C. And since the release of the iPhone 6 last September, this piece of technology is already considered to be dated. But we forgot. We forgot that the first iPhone was released only 8 years ago because smartphones are everywhere now. They're part of our lives. They're part of our lifestyle. For example, just the other day, my son, who just turned 5, a few weeks ago, was playing with his imaginary friend, and he told me that he needed to tell him something. So he put his hand like this, start to type, wait a few minutes, and saw the answer and told me what was the answer. Because this is what is normal for him. This is the world he lived in. That's it for him. But for most of us, new technology, new ideas are not always easy to accept and integrate in our lives. Sometimes they provoke us, they challenge the way we relate to the world, and according to our personality, we react differently to those changes. One option is to say, "Over my dead body. I live all my life without this new gadget or this new information. I'm not even remotely interested, no matter what. I prefer to stay with what is comfortable. I prefer to stick with what I've been tried, what have been useful in the past. I prefer to stay with what is comfortable. And I'm content with what I have." Another option is to adopt it right away. Some people have this deep compulsion to be the first one to buy the latest models of something or following the latest trend. And Apple understood this very well. When we see all those people waiting for hours and days for a new iPhone or new iPad, they haven't seen it, they're not sure exactly what they do, but it does not matter, they want it, and they want to be the first to have it before everybody else, because it's new, it's trendy. And the third option is to take a deep breath and to try to figure it out, what this novelty is. Some people are ready to wrestle with new technology, with a new reality, even if it's challenging at first. They might ask their children or grandchildren to explain it to them slowly, with words they could understand. They try to adapt. They try to adapt to this new reality, even if they know very well that in only 12 months, something else might come and completely change everything. And interestingly, we can find a similar pattern in today's passage from the Gospel according to John. On the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene goes to Jesus' tomb and discovers it's empty. So she runs back to tell the disciple about this. This incredible news is totally unexpected. This new development could change radically all their lives. And as expected, the disciple present that day reacted differently. And even if it's not mentioned explicitly in the text, we understand that some disciple made the choice to remain where they were. Maybe they did not believe in Mary Magdalene. Maybe they were not interested in this new piece of information. They knew Jesus because they follow and listen to him for quite a while. Maybe they believe they have learned everything they needed. Why change something that is already working fine for them? Why should they change the nature of their relationship with Jesus? Maybe they were simply content with the faith they had. And then there's these two disciples, Peter and the beloved disciple, whom we traditionally associate to John. For them, this is very exciting news. So exciting that they had to be the first to see it with their own eyes. So they both ran as fast as they could to Jesus' tomb. They got there. They look into the tomb. They go into the tomb. They find the leaden wrappings used to bury Jesus, and then, since there was nothing else to see and nothing else was really happening, they left. They returned to their homes, probably expecting that something else exciting would happen soon. And there is Mary Magdalene, who stayed there by Jesus' tomb, weeping. We will never understand the exact nature of their relationship. Still, we can assume a few things. She was important because we know her name. She's not one of those unnamed women of the Bible. In fact, she is named in the gospel more often than most of the disciples. We know where she's come from. Mary Magdalene is Mary of Magdala. Magdala is a fishing village not that far from Capernaum. And we are told in the gospel that she stood by Jesus when he died on the cross. So for sure, Mary Magdalene was part of Jesus' inner circle. And we could wonder what Mary Magdalene was thinking or expecting when she remained by the tomb. Perhaps she wanted to feel closer to Jesus, somehow like when we visit our deceased loved one in cemeteries. But one thing is sure, she was not about to leave. She was still processing what happened just in the last few hours. Because Jesus was a good and compassionate man. He had come to change the world, to make the last first, to free the captive, to restore sight to the blind. He constantly found ways to bring back the outcast to their full humanity. But now, Magdalene's hope were totally crushed. That morning, she did not try to cheat, to deny her emotion. She stood there, simply, and she grieved bitterly. How long did she stay there? Minutes, hours, days. Eventually, the risen Christ appeared to her. At first, she did not recognize him. Even if she journeyed at his side for many months, many years, Mary Magdalene's mind was filled with tears, with sadness. And it's only through a quiet, intimate, and heartfelt conversation that she understood who was standing in front of her. Like many other disciples after her, she encountered the risen Christ when he spoke and behaved like Jesus did. We often forget that resurrection is not the same that reanimation or resuscitation. Resurrection does not mean that the past is erased, that everything could resume as if nothing happened. Resurrection implies deep and profound transformation. In the garden, Mary would have loved to resume her relationship with her old master. Unfortunately, it was not possible, and she had to accept this new reality. She had to let him go. She had to adapt to a new way to be in relationship with him. And this process, as difficult and frustrating as it might be, transformed her. The crying, the sad woman eventually found the energy to return to the disciples, and she became the first one to proclaim the good news of Easter. Many of us went through challenging times and struggles lately. Many of us have been confronted to many forms of death. May it be physical, or the end of a relationship, the loss of a job, the diminution of our capacity, downsizing of our homes, many forms of little death. Many of us have tried to deny that something has changed in our lives. We might try to hold on to our past, to our memories. However, we all know that this can last only for so long. Eventually, we all had to acknowledge and accept this new reality. We have to adapt. And most of us thought it was not fair. It was unpleasant. It was uncomfortable. Still, through all those experiences, we were transformed. Some of us found it strength and resilience we did not thought we had inside of us. Some of us found a renewed sense of compassion for a loved one. Some of us found it that generosity was just waiting to emerge in blooms in our lives. These deeply personal transformations show to some of us how God really is working to make all things new. The story of the resurrection is not something just beautiful that happened 2,000 years ago. I believe we can all relate to Mary's reality on the first Easter morning, because we are all confronted to new realities, new ideas, new technology in our lives. We can try to deny their existence, or we can make a leap of faith. We can try to change. We can try to adapt. We can try to see in our challenges and our struggles a potential for transformation. We can try to discern how this new life, this resurrection, may be a source of good news for us and for the world. Amen.